Welcome to a deep dive, crafted specifically for you using the material you sent over. Today we're getting into software as a service SaaS, and more importantly, how small businesses are actually using it. Not just the buzzword, but using it to seriously boost efficiency.
Exactly. We've gone through the article you shared, and well, our goal here is to really pull out the key stuff. The main insights, maybe some surprising bits, and the practical things you can take away. We want to show how SaaS can genuinely be a game changer for how small businesses run, based right on your source.
Yeah, we'll cover the basics, what SaaS even is, simply put. Then the big wins, the benefits. We'll pinpoint where it makes a real difference day to day, talk about actually implementing it, the challenges too, and we'll even look at some case studies from the article, the ones with actual numbers showing the impact.
Right. It's all about getting you up to speed on something that's really reshaping business without, drowning in tech talk. Let's unpack it.
Okay, so SaaS. It's everywhere. Let's nail down the basics first, like the article does. If you're not super technical, how should you think about what SaaS really is?
Think of it like subscribing, not buying. You get the software, sure, but it's not a download you install and then, have to manage yourself on your own machine. You access it online, usually just through your web browser. The company providing it handles all the hosting, the managing, the updates, all that stuff.
Right, so it totally bypasses needing like heavy-duty computers for everyone, or an IT team just for software updates, or those physical license keys.
Exactly that. The old way meant big upfront costs for the software licenses, and the computers powerful enough to run them. Plus, ongoing costs and headaches for maintenance, security patches. You needed dedicated IT people on site. With SaaS, all that infrastructure and maintenance stuff, it shifts to the provider. Big relief.
And the article mentions some key things that really define this model. What makes it SaaS?
Well, besides being hosted in the cloud and accessed online, that's core, the subscription pricing is a big one. You pay as you go, usually monthly or yearly, not a massive upfront chunk. Then there are the automatic updates. You always have the latest version, no effort needed. It's built for scalability, flexibility, easy to adjust as your business grows or changes. And because it's web-based, you can usually use it on any device, laptop, tablet, phone. Pretty seamless.
So loads of things people use every day probably fit this model, even if they don't call it SaaS. What examples did the source bring up?
Oh, absolutely. The article mentions things like Google Workspace, Docs, Sheets, Gmail, Salesforce for sales teams, QuickBooks Online for accounting, Slack for team chat. These are all like classic examples of software delivered as a service. Millions use them.
Okay, got it. That clears up the what or the why. What are the really big, tangible benefits the source highlights, especially for small businesses, maybe with tighter budgets?
The number one benefit the article stresses, particularly for smaller outfits, is cost efficiency.
Is that just about like the monthly fee being smaller than buying outright? Seems like there's more to it.
Oh, definitely more. Yes, the subscription avoids that huge upfront license cost, which is great. But the real savings often come from ditching the need for big spending on servers and hardware and cutting down on how much in-house IT support you need. The provider handles the expensive backend, the servers, the networks, the updates, the security. It turns these potentially massive, unpredictable IT costs into a steady, predictable expense. Makes budgeting way, way easier for a small business.
Predictability. Yeah, that's huge. What else? What's another big advantage?
Scalability and flexibility. Super important because small businesses are always changing, right? Growing, sometimes shrinking, trying new things. With traditional software, adapting is often painful. Buying more licenses, upgrading hardware, it's a whole project. SaaS platforms, they're designed to scale smoothly. Need to add, say, 5 new team members. You just adjust your plan, usually no big installs or hardware headaches. It just grows with you.
Okay, so it removes a major technical roadblock to growth. And what about working from anywhere? That's pretty standard now.
That's accessibility and remote work. Huge benefit. Because it's online, your team can log in from basically anywhere with internet. This isn't just nice to have anymore. The source points out it's become vital for keeping things running, supporting remote work, collaborating across different places, especially after, recent years.
That freedom is massive. What about connecting different tools? Using your CRM to talk to your email system, that kind of thing. That used to be a real pain.
Right, that falls under integration and automation. A huge strength of modern SaaS, which the article details, is how these platforms can connect using something called APIs. This connection means you can stop manually copying data between systems, cuts down errors massively, saves a ton of time. The source uses a great example, linking your CRM, where you track customers, with your email marketing tool. So you could automatically send targeted emails based on what a customer does, stuff tracked in the CRM. Super efficient, personalized outreach without someone manually doing it each time.
Wow, automation like that sounds like it frees up a lot of time. And security. Small businesses often worry about that. Maybe don't have a dedicated security person.
This is where it gets really interesting, and maybe not what you'd first think. The article stresses that top SaaS providers invest huge amounts in security, way more than a small business ever could. They use enterprise-grade stuff, strong encryption, multi-factor authentication, regular backups. So yeah, you're trusting a third party with your data, but using a reputable provider can actually make you more secure than trying to handle complex security all by yourself. It's like having world-class security experts on your side.
That's a really strong point, outsourcing security to that level. And lastly, the source mentions getting started quickly.
Yeah, rapid deployment and just being easy to use. SaaS apps are usually designed to be pretty intuitive. Setup is often minimal, sign up, log in, maybe a few settings. Means you can start using a new tool and seeing benefits almost right away. No long installations or complicated configurations. Plus, most offer good training materials and support to help you get going. Lowers the barrier to getting powerful tools.
Okay, those are the big picture benefits. Now, let's get practical. Where does SaaS really make a difference in the day-to-day running of a small business? The source breaks it down by department almost.
Right. The article does a good job walking through how SaaS changes specific functions, moving from the why to the how.
Starting with customer CRM, customer relationship management.
Okay, so a SaaS CRM, the source mentions Salesforce, HubSpot, Zoho CRM as examples, gives you one central place for everything customer related. Instead of, messy spreadsheets or sticky notes, all your leads, interactions, sales progress, it's all there. The efficiency game is really clear. Automated follow-ups mean you don't drop the ball. Real-time reports show you how sales are doing now. You can group customers for better targeting, and everyone sees the same info, which helps service.
Makes sense. Okay, pivoting from customers to cash accounting and finance, how does SaaS help clean up what can be a real headache for small businesses?
SaaS accounting tools, QuickBooks Online, Xero, FreshBooks are mentioned. They just streamline things like bookkeeping, sending invoices, getting reports. You get a real-time view of your finances, no waiting weeks for reports. Invoicing can be automated, saving hours. Linking directly to your bank cuts down manual entry. And it makes working with your accountant so much easier. You can just grant them secure access. Really cuts down the admin time spent on money stuff.
And for teams working together, especially if they're spread out, project management and collaboration tools must be key.
Definitely. Tools like Trello, Asana, Monday.com, ClickUp, they take project tracking out of endless email chains and confusing shared folders. Everything's in one visual place. Tasks, deadlines, who's doing what, conversations about the work, boosts accountability. The integrated chat features mean less jumping between apps. And seeing the whole workflow laid out just helps everyone coordinate better. Projects get done faster.
Okay, and actually getting the word out, making sales marketing and sales automation, how does SaaS help small players compete there?
Well, SaaS marketing tools, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, Hootsuite are examples in the source. They put pretty sophisticated marketing power in reach. You can set up automated email sequences, triggered by customer actions. You can divide your audience for really relevant messages, manage social media more easily, and crucially, use built-in analytics and A/B testing to see what's working and improve. Things that used to need a whole marketing department are now doable with these platforms.
What about the core of the business, the people, HR and payroll?
SaaS in HR Gusto, Bamboo HR, Zenefits are mentioned. They automate a lot of the really time-consuming admin. Think running payroll automatically, handling payroll taxes, managing employee benefits. They often have portals where employees can manage their own info, like updating contact details or checking pay stubs. It centralizes records, helps with compliance, frees up a ton of HR admin time.
And if you're selling actual products, online or in a shop, e-commerce and point of sale.
Yeah, platforms like Shopify, Square, WooCommerce offer these integrated packages. Everything from setting up an online shop quickly to taking payments in a physical store. The efficiency boost comes from things like inventory automatically updating whether you sell online or in-store, managing orders easily, plus built-in tools for marketing or SEO. It's like your whole sales operation in one system.
And finally, the unavoidable paperwork, managing documents, getting signatures.
Tools like DocuSign, Adobe Acrobat Sign, PandaDoc make that so much faster. Getting contracts signed can take minutes online instead of days waiting for mail. It's secure, legally valid. You can use templates for standard documents, store everything centrally, way less printing, scanning, filing cabinets full of paper.
Wow, okay. The source really shows how SaaS can touch and improve pretty much every single part of a small business. But it also mentions something interesting tools specifically for certain industries.
Yeah, that's a really important point. These general tools are great, but the article highlights that many industries have specialized SaaS designed just for their unique needs. Workflows, regulations, data types, stuff a general tool might miss.
Can you give some examples from the article? What kinds of industries?
Sure. For healthcare, it mentions things like practice management, software Creo, or simple practice for handling appointments, billing, patient records, and telehealth platforms like Doxy.me or Amwell for doing video consultations. In retail, you see specialized inventory systems like Ven or Lightspeed, often tied into point-of-sale systems like Clover or Shopify POS, built for managing stock in physical stores.
What about services like legal or real estate?
For legal, there are case management tools, Clio or MyCase, to track client matters, documents, deadlines, and specific billing tools like TimeSolve or Bill4Time that understand billable hours. Real estate uses specialized CRMs for tracking leads and listings, Boomtown or Follow Up Boss, and document signing platforms like Dotloop, which are tailored for property deals.
And something like construction, very project-focused.
Exactly. They use project management software like Procore or Buildertrend, designed for construction timelines, budgets, job site communication, and estimating tools like CoConstruct or Job Nimbus for creating bids accurately. These just show how SaaS is getting really specific, building tools that speak the language of the industry.
Okay, so we see the potential, we see where it fits. But just buying the software isn't enough, right? How does a small business actually implement SaaS successfully and get those benefits? The source laid out some steps.
Right. The first, and maybe most crucial step the source emphasizes, is really understanding your own needs first. Don't start by browsing software. Look at your business. Where are the bottlenecks? What are you trying to fix or improve? Having clear goals makes sure you pick a tool that actually solves a problem, not just adds another subscription.
So problem first, then technology.
Precisely. Once you know what you need, then you evaluate the options, the vendors. The source advises looking beyond just the feature list and the price tag. Check user reviews, look for case studies from similar businesses, check the vendor's reputation, and really important, see what kind of customer support they offer. A great tool with bad support isn't much help.
And since we're talking data, security and compliance have to be top of mind.
Absolutely critical, non-negotiable. You need to understand how the provider handles security. Where's your data kept? Who can access it? What encryption do they use? And does it meet compliance standards relevant to you? The source mentions GDPR for Europe, high pay for healthcare. Depends on your business. You have to check their security policies.
And planning how it fits with other tools you use seems vital too. Integration.
Yeah, that ties back to getting things working together smoothly. Try to pick tools that integrate well with systems you already have or plan to use. Look for ones with open APIs or ready-made connections to other popular software. Avoiding those data silos from the beginning saves so many headaches later.
And then you can't forget the people who actually have to use this new thing every day.
Employee training. So important. People naturally resist change sometimes, and if they don't know how to use the tool properly, it's likely to fail. Use the training resources the vendor provides, tutorials, webinars, guides. Make sure your team feels confident and comfortable with it.
And finally, making sure it's actually working. Measuring the results.
Yeah, track the impact. Use key performance indicators, KPIs. Are you seeing productivity go up? Have costs gone down like you hoped? Are customers happier? Are sales cycles faster? Watching these numbers confirms if the investment is paying off and shows where you might need to tweak how you're using the tool.
Those steps make sense. But let's be real, bringing in new tech isn't always easy. What are some common roadblocks small businesses face, and how does the source suggest getting past them?
Probably the most common is just resistance to change from the team. People get used to how they do things, even if it's not the most efficient way.
So how do you tackle that, according to the source?
The article suggests getting employees involved early, even in choosing the tool, and really clearly explain how the new system will make their jobs better or easier. Frame it as a benefit to them, not just another thing they have to learn. Good communication is key.
Okay. Another challenge must be just the sheer number of options. It can feel overwhelming.
Yeah, choice overload is definitely a thing. The advice: go back to step one. Focus tightly on your specific needs. Don't get distracted by flashy features you'll never use. Look for vendors who have a good track record with businesses like yours. Check those reviews again. Stick to your priorities.
What about costs adding up? I've heard people talk about subscription creep.
That's a real risk. It's easy to end up subscribing to multiple tools, sometimes doing similar things, and suddenly your monthly bill is huge. The source recommends doing regular audits of all your SaaS subscriptions. See what you're actually using, look for overlaps where you could maybe consolidate onto one tool, and make sure you're not paying for premium features you don't need.
Getting old data into the new system data migration sounds like it could be tricky.
It can be, yeah, especially if you're moving from really old systems. The trick is to work closely with the vendor. Many offer help with migration. And absolutely vital, test everything thoroughly with your real data before you switch off the old system completely. Test, test, test.
And finally, the most basic requirement for anything cloud-based.
Yep, relying on the internet. SaaS needs a stable connection. Some tools might have limited offline features, but generally, good, reliable internet is essential. Make sure your connection can handle it.
Right, practical things to keep in mind. But sometimes you need to see the proof. The source shared some real-world case studies showing the actual impact. This is where it gets concrete.
Exactly. These examples really show the tangible results.
Tell us about that digital marketing agency.
Okay, so they were having trouble keeping track of client communications and leads were falling through the cracks. They brought in HubSpot CRM. This let them centralize all their client info and automate follow-ups. The result, the article highlights. A 25% improvement in client retention. That's a direct hit to the bottom line, keeping clients happy and staying.
Wow, 25% retention. That's serious. What about the retail store example?
This was a family-run shop, moved their accounting from manual books to QuickBooks Online. It wasn't just about digital files. It dramatically cut down mistakes. The article says they reduced accounting errors by 40% and saved over 10 hours every single week on bookkeeping tasks. Think what a small team can do with an extra 10 hours a week.
10 hours is huge for a small team and the remote design firm.
Right. They were using Trello and Slack to manage projects with people in different time zones. By having that central place for tasks and chat, they really smoothed out their workflow, the impact mentioned. They cut project delivery times by 30%. Delivering faster means they can handle more work, make more money, without necessarily needing more staff.
And that e-commerce startup using MailChimp.
Yeah, they used MailChimp for email automation. By dividing their customer list into groups and testing different email versions, A/B testing, they directly improved engagement and sales. The source says in just 3 months, their email open rates went up 20%, and sales from those emails jumped 15%. That's a clear line from using the tool smartly to getting more revenue. These aren't just theories, They're real numbers showing how those benefits we talked about actually play out.
They really do hammer home why SaaS isn't just a tech fad, it's a strategic business move. Looking forward now, the source also touched on what's next for SaaS and small businesses, what trends are coming.
Yeah, the market's always changing, and the article points towards things like AI, machine learning, and much smarter analytics getting baked into SaaS tools more and more.
So what might that look like? What kind of new tools or features?
Well, you can expect more AI stuff. Maybe AI chatbots handling initial customer queries, predictive tools guessing sales trends or flagging customers likely to leave, even smarter automation that learns and improves workflows on its own. The article also mentions industry-specific microservices, really specialized little tools delivered via SaaS.
And what's the bottom line for the small business owner listening to this? What does all that mean for them?
It means SaaS is going to keep leveling the playing field. It gives small businesses access to powerful tech that used to be only for huge companies. These trends mean even more automation, deeper insights from your data, more personalization, allowing small businesses to be incredibly agile and efficient. More competitive than ever, really.
So if we pull this all together, what's the main takeaway from the source material about SaaS for small businesses?
The core message is that SaaS is a really powerful, generally accessible, and often cost-effective way for small businesses to seriously improve how they operate, to become more efficient, more agile, reduce those old IT headaches, and really set themselves up to grow.
And getting the benefits isn't just about buying the subscription.
Not at all. The source really emphasizes that the real value comes from picking the right tools for your specific needs, making sure they work together well, and building a team culture that actually uses these tools to keep improving. Understanding that, from your source, is the shortcut to making SaaS work.
That sums it up brilliantly. It paints a really clear picture of the opportunity here. It's definitely more than just a list of features. It's a whole different way to run things.
It really is. It lets you shift focus from just managing the tech itself to actually using tech to get better business results.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. As AI and all this other tech gets woven deeper into SaaS tools, think about this. How will staying informed and adapting, embracing these tools, not just help your business keep up, but maybe unlock entirely new ways to innovate and grow, ways that maybe weren't even on the table before?